So Val, I'm going to crack on if that's okay, whilst the builders are having a cup of tea. So Sam, first of all, obviously thanks for doing this today. Can you tell me then, first of all, take us back and tell us, how did you start work in the pottery industry? Tell us where you started work, what you were doing, that kind of thing.
Okay, I left school in 1984 and straight onto the pot banks. That's what I think most of us did back in those days. I worked for, first of all, it was Washington Pottery, which was in Shelton, working in the dipping house, but I was there for a few weeks before I got offered a job at Eagle Pottery, which was under the Wedgwood umbrella at the time. So I worked there for quite a few months. I got trained gloss selecting, so I got shadowed the whole time for 3 months, where she followed me. She went through all my work. I hated it at the time, but it made me a really good selector. I was quite fast at it as well. So I was on Piecework when I was 16. I think my first pay packet was £72, which was a heck of a lot of money then. That was, like I say, 1984. And I got fully trained in lithographing while I was working on that factory too, on Eagle. And then I went to work at Heath's in Burslem. And I was there for, I think, 3 years, and I was gloss selecting, hollowware and flat. And then I went back to Wedgwood's and worked on Mason's Ironstone in Hanley, where I was set on there as a spongy. And yeah, I really enjoyed it there. I loved it there. It was the best place I've ever worked. I miss it desperately.
How long were you there for?
Mason's, I started in 1988 and I finished in 2001 when I had the accident.
Okay, all right, okay, cool. So you mentioned that you loved it there. So there must have been something kind of special about working in the industry and on the factory floor. What was so great about it?
I think working in a factory full stop was just fun anyway. Certainly working on Masons, we just had such a good camaraderie. We worked in the sponging and the clay end, that's what it was known as, the clay end, and we worked in the sponging house. So there was maybe 18 female sponges. Oh, we used to just have a laugh, real laugh. Singing songs, making up songs, just laughing really, just having a real good time every day. And then I did sponging for, I think, 4 years, maybe. And then I went to gloss selecting, still on Mason's, but upstairs, and still again. And there's lots of arguments every day because people were on Piecework. So we want the best work, and I do, There's lots of that going on. But it was just the camaraderie, I guess. It was just a really, really good place to work. And we were all such a big family on Mason's. It was fabulous, and I do miss it. And then that place closed down and we all had to go. And then I went back to Eagle, which is the first place I worked in. And I was there for 2 years or 3 years. Then I got moved up to Alexandria Pottery, which was in Tunstall at the time. And then I had an accident and my work came crashing down.
You mentioned that the camaraderie and the relationship you had there. So did you feel, was there a good kind of support network amongst your female colleagues, and was there a lot of support there for you and for each other?
I think so, definitely. I think everybody had the backs. Everybody was looking after each other, I guess, Yeah, it was a good support system, I guess so. Everybody used to go out together as well as go off at lunchtime together. It was a good family. It was a good family.
Fantastic. He's not going to be too long, but I'm just going to let him do that, and then we'll carry on, please.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned the social side of things there. So what was that like then? Was there kind of, going out after work? Did you have a kind of...
Oh, absolutely.
Outside? What was that like, and what kind of places did you go?
Well, we had the local pub, which was on the corner of the street. So every lunchtime, not every lunchtime, but people would usually go in there. Certainly on a Friday lunchtime, people would end up in, it was called the Dewdrop in Hanley. We always used to go there. Anybody's birthday, whether it was the 21st, the 30th, whatever, we used to have a good night out. Usually the whole department would go, depending on how many was working in the department. But yeah, it used to be fun. And certainly at Christmas time. Christmas time was epic on the factory. It was good fun.
What was kind of the Christmas? Was there a Christmas do, or did the
Oh, yeah.
bosses put on a party, or what was the kind of?
Well, the ones that are jumping back to my mind now are Masons again, because Masons was such a good place to work. I loved it. And there we had a Christmas party, which was held at the King's Hall every year, just for our factory and the people who worked on there. That was amazing. I think that we had them for the first 3, maybe 4 Christmases that I was there, and then they got stopped. Money, I guess. But what was the other question, sorry?
No, that's all good, thank you. Just wanted to know about your Christmas dues, that's all. Now, you mentioned piecework. So, for the uninitiated, like how I used to be, can you tell me what was piecework and kind of what did piecework mean to you?
Okay, so piecework was basically you had a time and motion man that would come, or woman, that would come and time you on each piece that you're doing. So every time you handled a piece of ware, whether it's a teapot or a teapot lid, they would be picked up and you would be timed. So if I was sponging, for example, they would see me fettling off the seams, how many that are on the board itself. Then we'd have to fettle all the teapots and sponge them all down, and we would get time for that. And then we'd be given a set price for that particular shape of teapot, for example. So say we had 10 teapots, they would probably take us 25 minutes to do those. So if you did them in 28 minutes, then you were losing out. If you did them in 22, then you were making... So the more you did, the more money you got. So it was a good incentive to people get cracking.
And so for yourself, what did you think about this method of work?
Oh, I loved it. It was ace. But it did cause a lot of trouble. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's an intensive, so the more work you do, the more money you're given. So therefore you're really trying hard. But yeah, if there's when I was a gloss selector, for example, I argued every day with my colleagues, every day, because everybody wants the best work, eh? And if it's not shared out properly, the arguments, every day.
A few people have mentioned having the best work. So what do you think constituted the best work? Was there a certain type of piece that you'd want?
Yeah, well, I suppose I know, like when it was a clay form, it was called by the shape of the ware when it was then decorated, and I was a gloss selector, so it was like at the end of the line, that was gold. So if anything got gold on, then it was better money. So anything that came up with the gold on it, then everybody wanted it. Everybody was fighting for it. So it had to be shared out evenly. Sometimes it wasn't.
And as a young woman working in the industry and being given the opportunity to earn a good wage, probably for particularly for around here, how did it feel being able to earn a decent wage and have that money?
I don't think you recognised it at that time. When you think back now of how much I was on, I mean, like say £72. My first wage packet was when I was 16, because before that I was on the YTS Youth Opportunity Scheme, so it was £25 a week. So when you're getting £72 a week, it's a big difference, eh? But then, I don't know, I think you had to slow down sometimes because you could earn too much money. So, and then people would say like, oh, well, you're going to cut your nose off, spite your face here, because some people were greedy. So they wanted to do more and more and more and more instead of just working at a nice, steady pace. So that did cause a bit of conflict. I've gone off my trail of thought, sorry. I was just thinking of selecting and arguing then. It was just going on in my mind.
I think I was just trying to find out just kind of how it felt to sort of have a good earning potential.
I don't think you recognised it. I don't think you realised it at the time. You didn't appreciate it anyway. I don't think it was appreciated until Piecework got stopped. Piecework got stopped and then everybody got on a fixed wage. And then everybody's like, that's when you miss it, eh? That's when you realise that you were on a good screw, I suppose, on a good wedge. So,
What was the kind of relationship like in the factory between women and men? Did you ever feel that you were treated any differently because you were a woman?
Women ruled. Women ruled. The men were the scared ones, even the bosses. The women just ruled all the time. So, no, not at all. I've always been quite vocal, shall we say? So, never been shy. So yeah, I never felt intimidated or by any of the men on there or whatsoever, the bosses. No, I think they were intimidated by the females on there, definitely.
And to ask you again, just about that, because that's quite an interesting thing you said then, and there's a couple of door slams in there. You mentioned women ruled. I mean, tell us about that. How and why did women rule the factory?
Well, I suppose we were given, you know, we had to have some certain priority of rules to keep. Obviously, health and safety was a big thing when that came in, because when I first started, health and safety wasn't a real issue. But yeah, towards the end of the time that I was there, I forgot what you'd said again.
No,
I'm so sorry.
It's all right. I'll tell you. I'll ask you my original question, because there's a really nice answer that you gave. Do you feel when you worked there that there was what was the relationship like between women and men, and did you feel that you were treated differently because you were a woman?
Yeah, no, I don't think we were treated differently. No, not at all. I think we were treated as equals. The labourers came and worked for us, the band, so they did the lifting and carrying, really. So, no, I don't think we were treated differently. I don't think so.
But it was the women, do you feel it was the women that were essentially in charge of the factory?
Absolutely. Yeah, we could kick off or moan about something, and perhaps the big boss had come down and, you know, and try and sort us out. But usually, 9 times out of 10, the women rule the roost.
Fantastic. Now, you mentioned then about health and safety. So, during your time working at various pottery factories, what kind of changes did you see to things like health and safety or technology? How did the working environment change?
Lifting and carrying, for example, females couldn't do that. It had to be kept clean. It was a lot quieter. Then you had to have special earring protectors or high protectors, or lots more things like that came in. No smoking allowed on the factory, whereas when I first started, you could smoke on your bench. It was lots of things like that came in and restricted a lot of people.
How were they received? Did they find, do you think they were positive changes, or were they to the detriment, do you feel, of the workplace?
I suppose they were a positive thing, I guess, because, you know, saving people's hearing or eyesight, or putting safety guards down on the lathes instead of your hair getting caught and stuff like that. So, of course, that was all. I suppose a lot of people didn't like the no smoking ban, but I think everybody had to conform. We all had to conform, and that was that. How
influential do you feel that women were to the development of the pottery industry in Stoke-on-Trent?
Hugely. I was watching a programme the other day, actually, and it was talking about the factory in McVitie's, you know, the McVitie's biscuits, and it was the same kind of thing we were talking about when I was here last time. The camaraderie with them women, because that factory's been open over 100 years, and some of the women have worked there since leaving school until the day they retire, 40, 50 years, some of them, and absolutely love it. And they got chatted and had like a meeting like we're having now, and they were on about their camaraderie and what a family unit they all became. So.
So you mentioned camaraderie there. What was the camaraderie like in your workplaces and in your experience?
Great fun. You know, sometimes you'd finish work, you've been working with them 8 hours a day, and then you'd come home and chat to them when you got home as well. That's the camaraderie, you know. You did have what we're going to do at the weekend, are we all going to go out, and everybody's, you know, rallying around to see what we're doing, or holidays, sometimes we go on holidays together. Yeah, there was a lot of camaraderie. It was such good fun. And singing every day. I used to sing a lot. Singing every day, and yeah, just having a laugh. And taking the mickey out of men. A lot of that was done.
Why not?
It's just jumped into my mind.
When you say taking the mickey, how did the men take it? Were they
scared to death? I think they were scared to death of the women. When women, pop bank women got together, it could be quite intimidating, I would imagine.
Now, you may have not have still been working in the industry when there was kind of a bit of a downturn, and a lot of the pottery factories had to close. People were made redundant. I presume you still have friends working in the pottery industry. So, what kind of an effect do you feel the factory shutting, the redundancies? What kind of an effect do you feel it had on the community?
Huge, massive. The city, not the community, the whole city. When I had my accident in 2001, it was I was on a sinking ship, basically. Wedgwoods themselves were trying to, they were giving us free computer lessons and trying to get us, I don't know, a different skill, I suppose, because we're all in this sinking ship. I've still got some friends that still work within the industry, but most of the factories have closed down, as you know, or been knocked down and now building houses on them. It was huge to the city, huge.
I'm just going to do that one again, if that's okay, because it's quite interesting what you said about them giving you computer lessons and stuff. I don't really want to name factories by name with regards to redundancy, so if we could just avoid mentioning Wedgwood, if that's okay. So and there was a big door sign in the middle of your answer. So just to go back, Samantha, to that, so when the factory started to close down, what was the kind of effect on the people that you knew that still worked in the pottery industry? Yeah,
it was huge. It really affected the whole of the city. We were given options because it was sinking ship, basically, and we were given the options to do, I think it was called CLATE, which was the computer course. So we could stay over of an evening, and we had a guy come in and he'd show us all, just to give people different skills, because they knew that the industry was folding, basically.
How did you mentioned yourself having this great earning potential and women doing skilled jobs and earning good money. How did suddenly that job isn't there anymore and maybe they have to retrain or do other things? How did that affect people personally and how they...
People just had to leave the industry completely. From what I remember, a lot of the people went to work in the NHS, for example, or care homes. That became the next industry, actually. But I don't know, it just massively affected the whole of the city. And females, certainly, because they were on such a good wage, and then just on everybody else's wage now.
With one eye on the future, and somebody who's obviously still interested in the pottery industry in the city, what do you feel is the future now, going forward? How do you feel the pottery industry is going to advance, and how is it changing, and where do you think it's going then?
Well, you heard last week Dudsons have just been gone into receivership, so what's that, 300 more people looking for work, skilled people. But to be fair, the last few months I've just started doing a little bit of lithographing again at the moment, and it does seem to be that the pottery seems to be coming back up slowly or surely, I don't know. Not on the scale that it used to be, of course, because everywhere used to be a factory in Stoke, but I think they're slowly but surely trying to get themselves back in, I don't know, but put us back on the map, I guess.
Do you think that there's still a need for the creative skills that Stoke-on-Trent
Absolutely
developed over the years?
Yeah.
Do you think that that's still a good thing to have in the workplace?
Well, I haven't lithographed since 1985, and I'm back to lithographing. So, yeah, definitely.
As somebody that's done that job and others within the pottery factory, do you consider that what you did was a creative thing, that it was a skill and a creativity that you had?
Yes, I wouldn't have thought so myself at the time, but when I've spoken to people and I've told them what I've done, they're going, "Oh, you're really creative then, you can do that." And I was like, I suppose I must have been. I didn't really appreciate that I was, but yeah, I guess we were. Very skilled. If you get trained to do your job, then you're skilled at your job, and I don't think you realise how difficult it can be because you're trained, so it becomes second nature to you. So yeah, we're definitely skilled.
And when you look back on your life in the pottery industry and all you've achieved and what you did and the good times you had, is it something that you're proud of?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you feel when you look
Totally. I could cry when I think about it. I totally miss it. I miss the camaraderie, I miss the fun, I miss just the laugh that we used to have on there, it was really good fun. And when I go travelling around the world and you see a piece that you've perhaps done and it's got your mark, because you used to put your mark on the bottom, that's a bit special. So yeah, I was in Australia once and I picked up a piece, got my mark on, I did that. So of course I'm proud, yeah, very proud.
Fantastic, that was great.
Oh, okay.
I think that's everything, Samantha, as
really?
far as I'm concerned. And there were some wonderful answers, thank you.
Don't it get you emotional though? It really does get me emotional. I miss it desperately, and it's like, you know, just coming on here, and it's like, oh,
That's good.
it is. It's such a good feeling.
Picking up a plate somewhere else and seeing that. Do you feel there's any points there which we might have missed? I was quite happy. I thought there's some nice bits there.
Really.
No, it was really nice when you said, like, you hadn't lithographed since 1985.
Well, I went up for the interview in October because I wanted to get a little bit of a job, a little bit of, you know, something to do because I was getting bored. And somebody said, "Why about lithography?" And I was like, so I went up for the interview, and I'm driving up there, and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't lithographed since 1985. Picked it up just like that again. Picked it up just like that. Within, exactly, because I was. It just comes back to second nature to you. And it's like sponging. I know I could do that again, just pick it up and I know I could. In fact, when I'm doing the dishes at home, I do the dishes the same way as I would at work. It's like, that's just the rhythm. And I used to rock as well because I got a rhythm of, the faster you rock, the more you worked, the more money you earned. So you used to rock like this. It's crazy.
Thank you for doing that. Thank
No,
you
you're
for
welcome.
enthusiastic
I hope it
giving
came
us.
across okay.
You did
I felt
well.
like I was a best sometimes.
No, it
No,
was
it was really
wonderful.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Very, very clear.
Now, do mind your head when you stand.